multi-generational and kids just being home longer, but they're using it more as a pit stop per se, just to give them time to get the type of money so they can finally get their house.
Yep.
So that's what I'm seeing a lot of right now.
Yep, I am too, absolutely. Are we still rolling? Hi, welcome back to my channel. I am with Chad Anderson, financial planner extraordinaire from Anderson Wealth, based here in Gilbert, Arizona. And I'm so excited for him to talk to you because there are so many questions about when is it the right time to buy a home? Is it really a good investment? And what the heck is going on with affordability? So, Chad, will you just share what you do in general?
Absolutely. So I am a financial planner. I don't know if I'm world extraordinaire, but yes, I'm a financial planner. I've been helping clients for over 25 years, right? So when it comes to helping my clients, I actually sit down with folks and depending where they are in their lives and meet them right where they're at. And we set up a financial plan. Majority of what I do and what I have been doing the last 25 years is retirement planning and helping folks with the estate planning, transferring assets onto the next generation. But a big part of that too is I get a lot of folks just starting out, right? So they come into me, don't know where to start. And that's where first-time home buyers getting that first house, that's where I come into play to help them figure out what is the best route for them.
Nice. So it's kind of like how real estate works. There's certain milestones in our lives that we hit, and we have to make decisions on changing our homes, moving, getting bigger, getting smaller. So it obviously mirrors your industry very well. So speaking of first-time home buyers, there's a lot of talk about affordability and the affordability crisis. And some first-time home buyers are just on the fence still. In fact, according to the National Association of Realtors, the average age of a first-time home buyer is 37 or 36 years old. So that's kind of concerning when it comes to financial planning. Would you agree?
It is. Yeah, it makes it very difficult. Originally from North Dakota, I've been on for 20 years. I remember when I bought my first house down here 20 years ago. It was a much different world. But today, obviously, affordability is a major issue.
Right. So then how can someone in your industry help a first-time home buyer get into their first home successfully?
First thing we have to do is sit down and talk about their budget, affordability. That is number one. We got to make sure they have enough cash flow because when you're in your 30s, you're probably contributing, trying to plan for retirement as well. So we got to make sure that when it comes to buying your first home, we set that goal up and we prioritize it, right? I'm a father of three kids and actually had my own son just recently buy his first home. And a big part of that was getting their budget and their finances in shape and to have that goal before they could go ahead and make that first home buyer purchase, which by the way, they were very excited about. But it took some planning, it takes some discipline, and it really comes down to needs over wants. So it can be done, but it does take some planning, budgeting, and have some understanding for the programs too that are out there, which is very important, especially here in Arizona. There's some opportunities and some programs out there that folks can go ahead and research and can be a big help as well.
Yeah, so some of those programs might be down payment assistance, lower interest rates for first-time home buyers, and of course you'd want to talk to a mortgage professional to find out more on that.
That's right.
So as you know, these new home buyers are contemplating whether or not it's worth it to get into buying real estate. I want to ask you, from a long-term aspect of building wealth in a family or just having security for retirement, how important would you say home ownership is?
Homeownership can be very important in building your wealth, right? There's very few things that we have available in our industry. I'm a tax-free guy, right? If we can build our wealth tax-free, that's what we try to do. Having a home as it grows its equity is a great tool for you, not only to build your wealth, but to give you some opportunities that you would not have otherwise. As your equity grows, typically we look at about a 3 to 4% average. growth of equity, but over 15, 20, 30 years, that can be a very significant amount of equity, which can help build your wealth. When you get it to that point or have that opportunity, you have an asset that you can tap into in various ways. And again, I'm not a mortgage person, but for example, a HELOC would be an option as far as something you could do, or you could even use those monies for other investments. A lot of folks I deal with are in the real estate business, and it gives you an opportunity not only to build your wealth, but provide you some opportunities that you probably wouldn't have if you were still out renting and doing things like that.
Right. So HELOC that Chad referred to earlier is a home equity line of credit. And that's a way that you can tap into the equity of your home to make repairs, or I've had clients use a HELOC for many other things. So basically what you're saying is that home ownership gives you the chance to earn money so that you can have flexibility in future finances or ways to pay for additional things. So are there any specific tax advantages other than, I think you mentioned, the capital gains and the tax-free money that comes from that? Any other tax advantages?
Yeah, as I mentioned prior to our filming today, we were talking about, obviously, when it comes to especially my clients, since I work a lot with retirees, that home equity, as we build that up, if you, and again, I'm not a tax person or a CPA, but for the most part, when we sell our house at the end of retirement, up to $500,000, if you're married, filing jointly is tax free. You can take those monies and get your retirement started, right? Get that cash flow put in place and minimize those liabilities that you may have. But obviously the mortgage interest is always something that is a big benefit if you have home ownership that you can deduct at tax time. That is very beneficial, not only for retirees, but obviously for young people starting out as well.
Okay, nice. So as we go through kind of the milestones of life, and we've got the first-time home buyer that's bought their starter home, if you will. So what are some tips and tricks that you could give to maybe a young couple starting out that is now having their first child and they're contemplating whether or not to buy a larger home or maybe to renovate the one that they have currently? Are there any financial advantages to that if they're staying in the same area?
As far as, anytime, just as buying your first home or buying a bigger home, the same rules apply, in my opinion, right? You still need to make sure that your budget is such that it's not going to impact, let's say you're still doing some retirement planning on the side. We can't have any decisions made that are going to interfere with that. Things that we can do, obviously, again, just as we set money aside for that first time home, if I'm having a child, and by the way, for those out there that have grandchildren, congratulations, it's the best thing in the world, where you can set some money aside, create an account for that. Also, things that you can do when it comes to affording a bigger home, you may have to make some arrangements on the child care. Think about that as it comes down the pipeline. I know young people that have staggered, daycare costs are something that can impact you. So your priority is a bigger home. You may have to make some changes in other aspects of your life. Maybe you have a mother or a grandma watch the kids instead of having daycare, staggering your work shifts, you don't have to do daycare, those types of things. So when you do go to that bigger home, it'll be able to serve your needs, more room. Also, you're going to have more equity over time, right? So the bigger the house, theoretically, the higher the value that house will grow, which will, again, create your wealth over time. But when it comes to either to upsizing, whatever the case may be, you have to make sure it's not going to put you in a financial position that's going to cause financial strain. If it does, obviously we look at the pros and cons, and I would be saying we need to stay the course until we can. But that's what I do.
Right. Thank you. So it's interesting what you said about have grandma think about maybe taking care of the kids. So there's a huge trend in real estate now, and it's multi-generational housing where multiple generations are moving in together to help each other out because of affordability issues. But you have, in some cases, Social Security income from an older generation helping the family out so they can afford that larger home. Yeah. Okay, excellent. So from a financial planning aspect, a lot of families with growing children start to think about education and the cost of education. Are there any programs that people out there need to know about as far as financial planning goes for education of children?
Yeah, there's several. Obviously, probably in my world, the 529 plan is something they can set up. It allows you to set up a college savings plan. It has very high contribution limits. Grandpa and grandma can contribute to it. It grows tax deferred, and then when you use it for college, you can get it out tax free, right? But again, you got to start early. The other benefit of a 529 plan, it can be transferred. So if you have and like in my case, I had 3 boys. I had one that went to college and a couple that did not. So if I would have set up 529 plans for the ones that did not, we could have transferred it to the one that decided to go to college, right? There's also education savings accounts that can be set up, which is a different type of account. So there are several plans that you can do to save for college. And there is an Arizona State retirement 529 plan. So all the time when I'm talking to clients, I kind of point them in that direction first to see if that's what's best for them. If not, we're happy to help them out here with a 529 plan or whatever that may be. But again, when you're talking about owning a house, things like that, often grandpa and grandma are more than happy to help out sometimes through gifting, some strategies, or a lot of times you'll have parents that will use equity in their home, for example. Not all the time, but it's not something that I would say do, but again, they do it for their kids or whatever, so that's another way that home equity is used. Again, I'm not saying that I would do that, but that's another opportunity or something you could do with your home equity.
Right. And I guess the great thing about your services is that they're so customized to your clients' needs and goals.
Yes.
So you offered a lot of options there. Thank you.
Yeah. A lot of experience after 25 years.
So parents, you can put your kids through college if you choose.
Yes. And also, but parents, remember, they can get a loan for college. You can't get a loan for retirement. I tell all my clients that. They'll be fine. I worked my way through. They can do it. I know it's expensive, but if you want it bad enough, you can get it done.
Spoken like a true financial planner. Excellent. All right. So with the scenario of, a couple has successfully launched their children. They're out of the house. Now they have a big house and they're considering downsizing. So potentially selling. What are some pieces of advice that you would give to clients in that situation that are looking for, like, what should they do with the equity in their home?
That's a great question, and everybody's a little bit different. A lot of my clients, what we look to do as we have accumulated our wealth or built up that nest egg, if you would, for retirement, when it comes to the equity in our home, it gives us an opportunity to really clean up any liabilities or expenses as we move into retirement, or as I call it, freedom, more so than retirement, because it's all about cash flow. It's all about a paycheck. So if we have a big house, let's say 3,000 square feet, and now everybody's gone, it gives you a tremendous opportunity to have options. One, you could sell it, take that nice tax-free amount of money, go pay cash for a smaller home, and then use the additional monies, put those to work for you and generate some income for you on top of your other retirement income, Social Security, that type of thing. Another idea for folks out there, maybe your house is paid off. You could obviously rent it out. That's another way that people use their property as for more passive income. So there's options, and that's the whole idea, right? When it comes to your financial planning, here what we try to do, provide flexibility and options, because when we have flexibility and options, we're happy, right? That's what it's about. Doing what we want to do, not doing what we have to do. So the more equity we can have in our home at that time, the better off we're going to be.
Right. So it sounds like flexibility is the name of the game.
Yep.
And real estate obviously helps to give you that equity so that you have money for that flexibility.
Yep. And that's what I do for my clients. Provide solutions for them. It's not about me, it's about them.
And what an incredible job you do for your clients to put yourself aside and put their needs first, which I know you're all about integrity and ethics in the way that you help your clients. So Thank you so much, Chad.
Thank you. Thank you.
Financial planner extraordinaire.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
From Anderson Wealth. And I appreciate all the tips and tricks you've given, the insight into how your industry works with real estate. And if you found that this information has been beneficial, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll make sure that you keep getting it. Thanks so much, everyone.